Welcome to DAX Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us for another edition of DAX Machina. We've got a full house tonight. Joining us from Texas at the Texas Dogman Conference is Robby Rip Rains. He's just outside of Fort Worth at the big Dogman Conference going on this weekend. Steve Wildman Monrodis is also in the house. He's feeling a little bit under the weather, folks, so say an extra prayer for Steve, but he's getting on the mend. Of course, we got the Pocket Doc himself, Kerry Pocket Doc Davis, who's recently made it back home from his tour of all things hot in the South. And joining us tonight is my son, Noah. You guys know him as Jorgenmunder. So we have a full house tonight. It is going to be a good time. Guys, how the hell are you guys doing?
Doing all right.
Rolling.
Doing great.
Rumors of my death have been only slightly exaggerated.
Only slightly. Well, speaking of that, speaking of deaths, I do want to start the show out with a lifted glass for somebody. Jimmy Buffett passed away yesterday. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Buffett's music, and hated to hear that happen. He was getting up there in age, but he was a hell of a singer, and I'm gonna miss him because I'm a parrot head, so I definitely love his music. So if y'all are drinking something tonight, lift a glass for Jimmy Buffett.
And I thought I was going to start this show sober.
May he find his missing salt shaker and the ultimate cheeseburger. Robby, let's jumpstart this with updates from the Dogman Conference. You want to tell us what's going on down there?
Well, I'll try as long as this internet here in this hotel will allow me to. We've been having a great time. Today was that first day of the actual conference. We had the VIP meet and greet last night, which went amazing. There was I met a lot of people that said they watch our show, said they love our show. So that was really good. A lot of people wanting you and Doc to know they missed y'all, wanted y'all to be there. But today's been amazing. Got to hook back up with Jesus, so he's excited to come back on the show at some point.
Can't wait to get him on. It's going to be awesome.
Yep, been doing a lot of good networking for the show. I think we got some pretty good shows down the pipe coming. If things are working out good. I would say there was probably, and I think Krista's in the chat, she could probably, correct me or add to it or whatever. I think there was probably about 250 to 300 people, maybe more there today. Great speakers. Adam Davies spoke, which is another one that might be coming on the show. If y'all have watched Monster Quest and Destination Truth with Josh Yates, he's been on a lot of those shows. We actually got to go to at the Monster Mart.
We're losing you, Robby.
Okay, we're trying.
Yep, we got you now. You kind of faded out for a second there.
Okay. We got to go down to Falcon, Arkansas on Thursday, and actually got to meet DA's long lost cousin again, Mr. Denny Roberts.
Very nice.
Monster Mart. Yes, very nice. A lot of really good memorabilia in there. Some good plaster casts of tracks that have been taken from the area. Got to meet the actual guy who played the creature in the movie, which was just like cool as crap. That was just like a surreal moment. Then William took us out on the Sulphur River on some places that, the Sulphur River was the main waterway in the movie. And he's got a lot of good stories. Trying to work on maybe getting him on the show at some point. He's been in the squatching business for about 46 years. It's just a wealth of information about these creatures and things. He's had multiple sightings. I think he's written a couple of books. Just a really good guy. But this has been a great conference. I've really enjoyed it. We still got one more day to go. Got to go tomorrow. I think I'll be on the cryptid panel tomorrow, doing some Q&As with the crowd. So it's been a good conference so
Awesome, man.
far.
Awesome.
Been a lot of really good people.
Yeah, make sure you talk to you guys and get dates firmed up, and we'll make it happen.
Yep, I'm gonna get with Jesus and Adam first thing in the morning and get those nailed down. William's already gone, but I've got a way to get in touch with him. Got a few others that I'm thinking about asking too that I think will be. We got introduced to another podcast group that we might can do some stuff with, and Greg and I have got some stuff that we were talking to Jesus about. I've already told DA about it. That might be some stuff down the road that y'all really going to enjoy.
I'm looking forward to that.
Good work.
Yep.
Steve,
and
you
of course
just
I've been
dropped a
repping Doc all day.
There you go. You just dropped a new video, didn't you, Steve?
Yeah. I dropped one. It's been yesterday. Yesterday I put it before I started trying to come down with the plague or what the hell this is. But yeah, I'm actually really surprised at how the feedback I'm getting, how much that's taken off. Honestly, I think right before the show we were at 82 subscribers. So I'm really kind of shocked that many people listen to my rambling. But it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I enjoy it. I think they're hilarious stories.
Yeah, the story I just dropped is one of my favorite ones, just because of the fact that it's just it's the whole stereotype visit to the ER, man. As the saying goes, don't do anything you don't want to explain to a paramedic or an ER nurse. And,
Yeah,
That's true.
right.
well, you've got some fans in the chat.
It looks that way.
A. Brunson said, "What's Steve's channel?" I just posted it. The link should have just popped up.
Yeah, it's on YouTube as the Inebriate Merce with an M. Inebriate Merce, and it's nothing fancy. It's very low production value, guys. Picture me sitting with another nurse at a bar, telling one of those "y'all ain't gonna believe this shit" stories, and that's pretty much what it is. It's little short videos telling some weird shit that goes down in the course of being a nurse this many years.
Doc, you
Yes.
you just got back from a whirlwind tour of the southern states. How was it?
Hot. It was extremely hot. Yeah.
Not quite so eloquent today, are we, Sir Doc?
Man.
It's the heat beat it out of him.
Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna tell you what, man. It was warm, but everybody soldiered on. The last day I taught down in Houston, like I said, it got to be 103 degrees on the range. So even after drinking a half a gallon of electrolytes and a gallon of water, I was still somewhat dehydrated. So yeah, it was and Don Donaldson, I've been in Texas the last 3 weeks, man. So yeah, I've been there for all the fun and the sun y'all had, because I was down in Corpus before that. So it was nice and toasty down there too. So, but thankfully, the good Lord let me come back home safe. I killed about 1 million bugs, drove 6,000 miles in 3 weeks, and a couple of birds, a rattlesnake, and everything else. So thankfully I was in the confines of my car when I came upon Satan's string in the middle of the road. So
Did you make time to stop and slap a faro dealer?
I did not, but I did eat plenty of good barbecue while I was down there. I think I ate brisket literally every single day while I was there.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
No, sir.
Any trip where Doc gets to take one more nope rope out of the gene pool, he's a pretty
Amen.
happy bastard.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. I was pretty happy. Somebody asked me if I'd lost weight. Did I lose a lot? Yeah. Yeah, I've lost in the last couple months. I've lost almost 20 pounds. So, yeah.
Smedley Do-Right asked where the Wendigo live. I think that's a question for Northwoods, isn't it?
Yeah, the short answer is more places than you realize.
That's a fact.
More like wherever they want to.
True.
Very much so.
Where there's evil, there's the Wendigo.
Noah, before we jump in with both feet on the Wendigo topic, you want to plug your channel too?
Oh, sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Jorgum or Noah, either way. I play video games. That's all I do for a living. My chat were actually very generous and actually bought this chair for me. And this came in, what was it, yesterday, Dad?
Yeah.
I got this thing nice and put together. Way more comfortable than I was in the last one. But you know, we have a lot of fun times over there. I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 here lately, so for you D&D fans out there, that one's for you. But I play a variety of stuff, just hang out, have a good time. I'm generally there for at least 4 hours, but sometimes I'm there for like 10. So if you guys want to see a lot of long-term gameplay and just goofing off and having fun, come say hi. I'd like to see you guys.
I posted the link to your channel.
Thank you.
So, let's start talking about the Wendigo. Doc and I had a conversation the other day that really got me to thinking. And the idea we were kicking around at the time is not just the origin of the Wendigo. Of course, the conversation started out with the obligatory joke about Doc losing a snowmobile to one. But yeah, there we go. But we actually started discussing, what do we think caused these things? So then we started talking about where all of the Department of Conservation all across the U.S. are really putting so much effort into tracking deer herds with chronic wasting disease. What if the Wendigo isn't supernatural at all? What if the Wendigo is a variant of chronic wasting disease that's transferred to humans?
Well, we already have something like that.
Well, mad cow is a prion disease, and it affects people, and it does some weird crap to people. But what if this is another variant?
It'd definitely be scary. I mean, the normal variant, the Creutzfeldt-Jakob's disease, is creepy as hell.
Yeah, I mean, and DA and I were talking. What if this? It wasn't like the Creutzfeldt-Jakob's, but it's something that causes emaciation but increases the hunger. You know what I mean? And so that's where you get the emaciated look, and it can cause genetic anomalies within the host, so to speak.
Deer with chronic wasting disease have been reported as called zombie deer, and they've also reported very erratic behavior just among deer. So we know what happens if humans get the prion disease from cows, but a deer is a different species of ungulate entirely. What if what we're picking up from deer is something else entirely? And it turns out to be something very much like a Wendigo.
Well, even the chronic wasting deer, I mean, you see those bastards eating snakes and shit.
Yeah.
That's a little disturbing.
Yeah. And I mean, what if, like DA, now we're talking about this, and I got to thinking about it after we talked, what if it affected the frontal cortex that has to do with your decision making and your personality and your impulsive mood and things like that? Who knows?
That would be creepy. A prion-based, somebody threw out the term zombie there in the chat. Prion-based zombie is some scary stuff. There have been a couple of horror writers that have kind of flirted with that, and it's a scary thought. Considering that you can't kill the stuff off like you can a virus or a bacteria. Prions are basically just toxic pathogenic proteins. You have to essentially cremate whatever you want to treat of this stuff.
Yeah. You literally have to nuke it to kill it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So Can you kill a
That,
Wendigo?
that would explain why, like even with the Missouri Department of Conservation, they'll when they get a report of chronic wasting in an area, they'll kill every deer in that area they can find and burn them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
You basically do
maybe it's not
thermite and shit.
connected at all, but I don't think you got to be a huge conspiracy theorist to see there might be some connection there. Valerie, thank you for the super chat. She says, "What if it's a chimera, part prion and part rabies?" That's a very good question as well.
It's a scary thought too.
Yeah, what if it's a derivative? What if it starts out as a prion disease and takes on elements of other stuff? Rabies would explain why nothing seems to stop one. I mean, when I was a kid, I was probably 4 or 5. We had a rabid dog came up to our farm. And my dad shot that thing like 6 times with a 12 gauge, finally blew off one of its front legs before it finally fell down and couldn't get back up. But it kept coming. So
Well, and that would make it
explain
more
why-
infectious too. Rabies living in the salivary glands and all.
Well, yeah.
And
So
it's-
like that would give it the ability to transfer. I mean, like
Hmm.
prion disease isn't going to just transfer if it bites you. I mean, like you could clear that pretty quick, but I mean, like if it's mutated alongside something like rabies, then as soon as it's in your bloodstream, you're done.
That one guy, he said, "How far west, south are they finding cases? Really common here in Ohio." Doc, you've had multiple Wendigo sightings out in Colorado, correct?
That's correct. Did you happen to peruse that video I sent you from the one from El
Yes.
Paso County right here?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I mean, I can see Pikes Peak right off my front porch, and there was a sighting there just a few years ago, like the last 4 years of one up there. So definitely makes you have pause to go up in there and spend the night camping up there. So especially in that area. So yeah, there's been sightings of them out here. They talked about it at my daughter's little church camp they went to in the summertime years ago. And that's when I was like, what the hell is a Wendigo? I never had heard of one of those. And so I started looking into it and I was like, yeah, it's pretty freaking terrifying. I don't want to ever be around any of that crap. So yeah. So they are out here. I don't know if they go any further south. Like, the Mogollon Rim down in Arizona is very well known for cryptid activity and other activity as well. UFO activity, or what they call now UAP activity. But yeah, it's. I'm wondering if they're from down there. Who knows?
Another super chat from Valerie. Thank you. It says herbivores eat meat, are low in phosphorus. I only know that because I teach equine nutrition and first aid. That's a interesting to know.
That is interesting.
Well, I've got 2 maps to show you guys, and they are both maps. One of them is of known areas of Wendigo sightings, and the other is a map of chronic wasting disease. Now, while they aren't identical, there are a lot of overlaps. So I'm going to show these real quick. Give me just a second to pull them up. Here's the first one. And this is a map of known Wendigo sightings. Okay. And this,
Got a few in your neck of the woods there, Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
This is chronic wasting disease.
Huh.
It's kind of like that, almost like that missing 411 overlay we do with the cave systems and the Bigfoot sightings and the missing 411 cave sightings and Bigfoot.
Right.
Yeah.
Send me the link to both of those images, and I'll hobble together side by side.
Okay, no problem. No.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I definitely see some similarities.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Stop sharing your screen, though, weirdo.
I've got the group chat up. I'll just send them to the group chat.
It's very interesting.
Definitely
All right,
interesting.
it's taking me just a second to get that. send over?
All good.
Okay, those are both sent. The maps are on those two maps are on those pages.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying with any kind of degree of certainty that these two are directly correlated, but this does make a certain amount of sense. Steve and Doc are the medical guys. They know more about chronic wasting than I do and about prion disease, but it certainly would explain some of the known behaviors of Wendigo.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely some creepy stuff. I it would be interesting to see how something like that would progress in humans. Uh, especially if you end up with a little bit of a chimera situation like someone suggested with a rhabdovirus. It'd make it contagious as hell. Because typically, in the case of most prion diseases, you don't get it unless you eat meat that's been contaminated. You can get Creutzfeldt-Jacobs from eating a chronic wasted deer or a mad cow or something like that. One Creutzfeldt-Jacobs human won't give it to another unless it's some cannibalism or something going on. But you start throwing in that rhabdovirus component, that's a little terrifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good question. Good question here from Derek Buckles. Does chronic wasting disease and prion disease target similar areas in the brain? I could not tell you.
That I honestly don't know. I really don't know. I was under the impression, now granted, I haven't studied this for 25 years now, but it, as I understood, it just kind of breaks down, the overall brain. Just kind of Swiss cheeses it, like Alzheimer's does in its later stages or something like that. But that's 25-year-old information, so a lot has changed since then.
Yeah, and Poncho Zorch DA had a question. Pop up a picture of a Wendigo. What?
I was working on that very thing.
Yeah, and I'm same thing with me, Steve. It's the information I've got is very old, but if you had a something with both types of similarities there, both type similar, a virus and the prion, that's kind of scary.
Pancho, there are a couple of different versions of the Wendigo legend. It varies through a couple of different tribes, but by and large, these are the two classic descriptions of a Wendigo. Oops. There's this one and this one. But you can certainly, even with those, see the similarities. Very gaunt, gray-skinned, oftentimes bones showing. A lot of times they're missing their lips and skin off their fingers where they've chewed them off. Hey, Fred from Alaska's in the chat. Hey, Fred.
That's awesome.
All right. I've got that saved now. I'm sending you the side-by-side.
Okay.
As soon as it will finish processing on Messenger. That's taking forever for some reason.
It says you unsent a message.
Yeah, I accidentally sent one of the maps because I was trying to paste it into Photoshop and it didn't paste. And then I looked over and I was like, oh, I accidentally just sent it to them.
It's not coming through.
It's because I haven't sent it yet.
Oh, well, that could be a lot. Anthony J says the second pick looks a lot like a variant of a crawler. We've just actually discussed that. I think a crawler might be a type of Wendigo.
There you go. It finally sent.
Okay.
Yeah, I think someone compared it to the rake as well.
Yeah, the rake.
Yes, to the rake.
Supposedly the rake is a creepypasta thing, but maybe I'm digging my tinfoil hat out here a little bit. But it seems to me the quickest way to get the public to get their mind off of something that actually exists is to say, oh, it's just some kind of fiction.
There's a comparison of the two maps.
Yeah.
A lot of those areas up in Canada on the right side of the map that don't show anything are also areas that aren't very populated. So it's entirely possible there could be chronic wasting up in this area right here that they're just not getting reported.
Yeah, and that's where that's a heavily populated with the First Nations, the Algonquin tribe, if I recall correctly, which is a lot of where the lore, the origin stories of the Wendigos came from.
Right.
Claims
So there is a considerable amount of overlappage of chronic wasting disease cases reported with sightings of the Wendigo.
It's interesting.
I wonder if you grabbed a rabies map and overlaid it. I wonder
Let me see if I can find one.
what that might yield. Because if we're talking about this being like, instead of like some sort of supernatural curse or be it like some sort of hex or whatever, if we're talking about just plain and simple, this is two diseases that have mutated together, or more than two diseases that have mutated together, then it would make sense for us to take these theorized diseases and use all of the maps, especially if there's overlaps between each map. You know what I mean? Like if all three of these maps overlapped anywhere, like boom, like
Yeah.
at that point it's like, well,
as luck would have it, there's some credence to that, dude. Let me show this map.
we got another super chat from Valerie.
Oh, Valerie, thank
thanks,
you so
Valerie.
much.
Thanks,
She says
Valerie.
prion is a type of protein that can trigger normal proteins in the brain to fold abnormally. My dad was a pharmacist, and he never ate cuts of meat close to the spinal column.
Interesting.
That's good to know. Come on now, share the screen. Here we go.
No more backstrap.
Okay. Oh, the backstrap. You got to eat the backstrap.
Oh, wonderful.
So it's a considerable more color to that map because rabies is kind of everywhere. But
Yeah, right. But we're also seeing a lot of areas that have overlapped as well.
true. Which
Well, the overlap areas seem to be more
Terrifying.
concentrated than the others too.
But Steve and Doc, you could probably answer this. But how long has CDW been around, or not maybe been around, but been something that's been talked about versus rabies? Rabies has been something that's been talked about forever.
Right.
So,
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
and
Kenneth Galloway says, does chronic wasting disease affect elk? It affects all ungulates, all species of ungulates.
Let's see.
Kim Anderson says, do you think the Wendigo has a
chronic wasting
spiritual
disease.
starvation quality to it? I think it could. But, one of the things we've always kind of prided ourselves on this show was looking for possible logical explanations for some of the more supernatural elements of cryptid stories. I'm not saying this 100% explains the Wendigo, the Wendigo creature, but it certainly does give us something to think about. Like, for example, one of the most famous recent cases was what they referred to as Wendigo psychosis. Back, I believe it was in 1998 or 99, there was a guy riding on a Trans-Canada highway bus. Just for reasons they still don't fully understand, attacked a passenger on the bus and started eating him. They called it Wendigo psychosis. He was eventually taken down by Canadian law enforcement. And when they found him, he had Ziploc bags of strips of flesh. He'd cut off this guy he killed on the bus. He was not sent to prison. He ended up in a mental hospital. And last I knew, he got out. I believe he got out in 2016.
Well, that's not disconcerting at all.
No, not in.
Chronic wasting disease was first identified in 1967. Now, if you want to, as Doc puts it, pucker your wrinkle grommet a little bit here, it was first identified in a government research facility in northern Colorado.
How about that, Doc?
And Doc, isn't northern Colorado where that Girl Scout camp was closed because of Wendigo sightings?
Yeah, northwestern. Yeah, it was still up in the hills, up in the mountains, because most of our mountains on the Front Range. The Front Range kind of goes from, if you go up I-25, it's going to be to the west and northwest of I-25 is where, all of that. You get the San Juan, Sangre de Cristos, Rockies, everything like that. But yeah, it was up in the northwest area. Yep, sure was.
So there could be some validity to this.
Who knows? I doubt we'll ever know.
Yeah, well, yeah. If the government knows, they're not talking. But I think this does give us something that is a tangible thread of a possible explanation. It and I, again, we will never be the guys that say the supernatural elements couldn't happen. So it's the same thing we do with Bigfoot. We don't say portals or cloaking. We don't say that doesn't exist. What we look for here is the logical explanations of things that could explain it. And I think this is something that very well could, at least in part, explain the Wendigo stories. Because chronic wasting disease probably, when did you say, Steve? When did you say it was first reported?
1967.
Okay, so it probably existed before then. We just weren't aware of it.
Yeah.
Well, what concerns me is the fact that, it was a government research facility where they first identified it, and digging a little quicker, just a quick little perusal, some of the research are still classified.
Why would chronic wasting disease research be classified?
Funny you ask that.
What have we talked about so much with the Dogman, y'all?
Right.
Weaponization.
Yeah, but that's the only thing that would make it make sense is either they're weaponizing it or there's something they don't want us to know about the origin of chronic wasting disease. Why would they classify a disease that affects, deer?
Right. But yeah, it just kind of screams bioweapon, doesn't it?
Yeah, and how many people come out here in Colorado? I mean, one of the biggest money makers for Colorado is out of state hunters coming in to hunt deer and elk.
Mm-hmm.
Derek
Buckle said just doing quick research, rabies cases in deer are rare. Maybe the rabies cases themselves are rare, but what if this virus has jumped species? What if a deer with chronic wasting disease? Because we've seen videos of deers with chronic wasting disease eating snakes. What if they tried to eat a skunk and the skunk bit it? Skunks are notorious for carrying rabies.
Yeah. So are raccoons. The thing is, this has been okay. So they identified it in 1967. I mean, the Wendigo legend, the lore has been around for centuries.
Correct.
So is it just like the Dogman lore has been around for centuries? Is this something that they were trying to capitalize on?
I don't know. Well, and when somebody posited, the idea of the rabies and prions being interconnected, I got to thinking about, lichens. Not the werewolves, but the actual plants,
mosses and lichens.
Right. It's a combination of an algae and a fungus. And it's being recognized as a whole different organism. You do that with a virus and a prion, you could have some pretty scary shit come out of that.
Right. So, but two viruses, like rabies and mad cow or chronic wasting, it is not unheard of for two viruses to mutate each other. It has happened before. Kay Bauer says, I swear I saw a crawler one night cross the road in front of the house. This thing came and hid behind a bush from me. There was movement and a strange ticking sound. Not sure what the ticking was.
Maybe them clicking their teeth together.
Yes, I was going to say it's probably them clicking their teeth together.
Damn it, Doc.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say, Doc.
I was just thinking it was the Clockwork Man.
Yeah, I am far too sober to be putting up with this, guys.
Jimmy G says, could a combination of rabies and chronic wasting disease explain the chupacabra? If so, it stands to reason that a similar thing may cause the Wendigo. That's an excellent question. This is just a theory that we just came up with just the other day. There's really no way to bear it out without doing a lot deeper research. But if a chupacabra is an animal that has developed a version of this disease, then a Wendigo would be a human who developed the same disease.
So to answer the question, do any Wendigo sightings report? Or Wendigo sighting reports indicate that the creature is swimming at the mouth. I don't know that anyone was a qualified dentist getting close enough to check. I got to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure you see a Wendigo coming at you. You're like, I'm going that way. Actually, believe it or not, this doesn't seem like the place to be anymore. Like,
Yeah, deuces, I'm out.
I'm going
The
home.
Wendigo accounts that Wendigo accounts I've read, when they described physical descriptions, usually they described a bloody mouth. Anthony J. Pearson says, take into consideration the deer people. Valerie Juice gave us another super chat. Thank you so much. His scrapies is what it's called in sheep and goats. So it's essentially the same disease. It's just called something different. But,
Right.
If they couldn't digest food the normal way, it would explain why a chupacabra is drinking blood.
Yeah.
Maybe it's needing something that its body's not producing anymore. Jimmy G says maybe he was using some form of echolocation.
The
That
clicker.
makes it. Yeah, the chattering of the teeth.
I'm thinking that that one blind dude that rides the bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clicks like that.
That's not terrifying at
Yeah,
all. Robby, what time is it?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Time to go.
Deuces. Yep,
DA, this
there
is
you go.
weird. It came across my phone about an article on prion disease. I don't think there are any coincidences, and we know our phones are listening to us even when they're not supposed to be.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Well, Patty says iron, maybe. Yeah, maybe this disease in certain animals causes an iron deficiency, and that explains why the chupacabra needs blood.
Yeah, we had talked about it on that show. We did the chupacabra.
Yeah, we sure did.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
Nice to see Caroline has the same sense of sarcasm that I do.
Yeah.
Here's a good question for Doc and Steve, because it's more of a medical question. Does cold climate affect CWD?
Not to my knowledge, because Colorado is extremely cold, and
Especially in the winter.
and we have quite a few cases.
I wouldn't think it would make a difference. The prions are extremely
Robust.
thermodynamically stable.
Yes, they're very.
I mean, like literally, you could cook a deer that has chronic wasting disease and
not
isolate the prion. I mean, literally, you have to essentially completely immolate it.
You have to incinerate the being, whatever it has in it, whatever being is affected with it. It has to be incinerated. Like
you've got to burn it so hard the soul is gone.
Yeah,
that's what Missouri Department of Conservation does. Whenever they get a herd of deer with chronic wasting, they soak them in diesel and burn the stack and keep throwing wood on until there's nothing left but ash. Roxanne Delgado says, article came across my phone, prion disease with COVID-19. Well, that's a terrifying hybridization there.
Yeah, no thank you. I don't need prion 19. That's okay.
Yeah,
Sharon says, greetings from Belgium. Well, thank you for joining us. That is awesome.
Bienvenue.
But yeah, I mean, looking at the maps and the correlations between them, I mean, it would be not entirely out of the realm of possibilities to consider that these could be leading causes to one another. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think for a second that you could just dismiss any of that. You know what I mean? And like you were saying, like we try to find a logical explanation to things around here. We don't want to just like write stuff off as, magic or like I said, a curse or a hex or, an angry witch living in a hut in the woods, like, it very well could be. And if I come across the angry witch, I'm going to be scared of her. I will admit, but until we find the angry witch that's causing all this stuff, I'm going to go with this very well could just be a mega mutated disease.
Well, and the chance of that mutation is better than we'd like to imagine. There's a line in Jurassic Park that Jeff Goldblum, essentially says that the nature will come up with a way. If there is an evolutionary pressure to do so, nature's going to do it. And so if there's an advantage to it, nature's going to do it. I could see there, if there's an advantage to the prion disease becoming more communicable, maybe we could see that rabies connection.
Yeah.
Little Patty says, Noah, you say witch like it's a bad thing. I mean like Gruntilda the witch sitting in her like hovel off in the woods, spinning a boiling pot with Eye of Newt in it, and she's kidnapped somebody. You know what I mean? I don't mean like, I'm gonna rub these rocks together and hopefully I'm more fortunate or something like that. I mean like hag. I mean like woods hag.
You're talking
true evil connotation of the word.
You're talking black magic versus white magic.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
I'm talking like I said, Gruntilda, the enemy from Banjo and Kazooie type witch.
Right. Yeah, we have friends that are green witches, and that's a whole different kind of critter, as Doc puts it.
Kazooie. What in the cat hair is that?
It's a game. It's a video game.
Banjo-Kazooie. Yeah.
Yeah. That's N64, man. That almost predates me.
That one guy asks, "Are Wendigos hooven?" I've not heard any stories of them having hooves, but some describe them as having a skeletal head like a deer. But that could be them wearing it like a mask, or it could be some sort of weird mutation. So if it's got a head of a deer, I guess it only goes to show it might also have the hooves of one. But very very weird version of the legend. And I know most of the Wendigo Wendigo legends talk about them being some sort of like demon of hunger and starvation that comes during harshest of winters. But the we're just looking for something that could logically explain this. If it has some sort of modified version of rabies, it could explain why those things are impossible to take down. And every version of the Wendigo legend say the only way to kill it's with fire.
That's true.
Funny that.
That's interesting. And they also hate snowmobiles.
Ryan from Monster Radio says the deer head is usually from branches that the Wendigo wears, not a deer headdress. That does make a lot of sense that it's attempting to use that as some sort of camouflage.
Well, even past that though, DA, what if it's some kind of this is where it came from was deer. It's just some kind of that's what they're sort of kind of like turning into in their mind anyway, because we're saying it's affecting their mind. So maybe what we're seeing, like if they're taking this deer skull or the tree branches, everything, they're turning themselves into a zombie deer, basically. I mean,
William Nighthawk says not true. A silver knife through the heart kills them too. I've read that, but some of the other Algonquin legends talk about cutting the heart out with a silver knife, and then the heart has to be burned separate from the body. But so many versions of the Wendigo legend involve fire. Even after they're killed with a silver knife, they still have to be burned. Now, I don't know if they necessarily, like I said, this doesn't necessarily explain everything. We're just wondering if this might be some sort of weird connection and why the chronic wasting disease research is classified.
I gotta be honest with you. I don't want to get close enough to find out if silver will kill one.
I'm with Anthony J. Or no, who was it? Someone said dragon's breath rounds. Yeah, David By said that dragon's breath ammo. I need to get some of those.
It's pretty cool.
Because nothing enjoys getting set on fire.
Yeah, my buddy Patrick got me some for a gift, and we shot a couple of rounds. And it'll set stuff on fire. Pretty cool.
It's interesting how many of these legends use silver as a weapon, and then looking at it from a scientific standpoint, all the antibacterial qualities that silver possesses.
And right. What are silver and fire? They're both purifying.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We use silver nitrate to treat burns. We We use silver alginate dressings, for various infections. I mean, it's interesting, very interesting.
Derek, I would say that, warping the barrel would probably depend on how quickly you fired extra rounds. Any barrel will warp if it gets hot enough. If you've ever spent some time behind an M60 on full auto, you'll see that barrel start to glow and start to droop.
Yeah, and I just answered him back. I said, we only fired a couple of rounds, and they ignited past the muzzle. So you're not actually having a magnesium fire inside your barrel. So...
Kenneth Calloway says, I don't want to get close enough to stab one with a knife.
No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't want to be that close.
William says, you need to camp with me sometime. You'll see more than you want to. Dude, I would love it.
I'd love that. And so,
oh, yeah.
William, I got a question for you, brother. If you had a round, let's say you had a round that had silver in it, because we know silver is it's a hard metal. It's notoriously inaccurate if you try to cast it into a bullet, because it doesn't expand like lead does and grab the lands in the barrel to give it that spin. So if, let's say, you had lead in a hollow point shotgun slug, or say you had silver in a lead hollow point shotgun slug, would that do the trick? Just a question. Just wondering. So.
Not about like taking here, let me just
because an overt silver projectile is very, very inaccurate. They even did that on Mythbusters one time.
I was thinking, and I'll put this up here so everybody could see it. That's a hollow point. I was thinking, fill that cavity with a couple of drops of silver nitrate, then cap it with wax.
Yeah, or something that would withstand the heat of that barrel. I mean, but if it'll bond to that lead, DA, then it might stay intact through the flight of the barrel through those temperatures.
Or you could just make a bunch of silver pellets and load shotgun shells with silver pellets, buckshot size pellets.
There you go.
Yeah. With a shotgun, you're kind of thinking ballistics be damned anyway.
Yeah.
That negates having to worry about them catching the lands and the grooves of the barrel, because
Ken just gave a good one, just like that. He said Larry Correa gave a pretty good idea for putting silver in a jacketed bullet. That way, it grabs the actual the lands of the barrel and gives it that spin to make it more accurate.
William says yes, but after the heart is stabbed or shot, you need to remove it from the body. Yeah, even in my book, Curse of the Wendigo, once they were down, they had to incinerate the bodies. It wasn't like they just dropped them with an incendiary round and moved on. As soon as they hit the ground, they were chucking them into a bonfire. So yeah, absolutely, I would say you would still have to burn it.
So I want to reground us for a second, y'all. So the whole conversation here has been us trying to discuss a theoretical, natural sort of way of approaching the Wendigo myth / legend, right? So the fact of the matter is, definitively, there is no way of telling what the way to kill one of these things is, because none of us have killed one. Not a single person here has ever killed a Wendigo. So this is all just purely theory.
Pure theoretical. David By, thank you for the super chat. Silver Sabo rounds.
Ooh. There you go.
Doc, wouldn't paper patching take care of that too?
Say it one more time.
I said, wouldn't paper patching take care of the fact that it
would?
Wouldn't grab the lands and grooves? You could paper patch a silver round and then shoot it out of a rifle barrel.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
Just put silver, in the core of a shotgun slug. You don't need the lands and grooves for that.
Yeah, that's true.
Valerie gave us another super chat. Says copper was used to kill giants.
And I mean, you don't necessarily have to bury a heart that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, if you've obliterated it.
If you scattered every piece of that heart across 6 counties, I don't think you have to worry about picking all those pieces back up. I'm just being honest with you. That thing no longer exists on this material plane.
I'll be right back. Gotta take the old man out. Be right back.
All right, no problem.
When you shoot something hard enough to separate the soul from it, I think we're pretty well covered.
That'll do it.
I know there's a lot of lore dating back on the Wendigo, and a lot of definitely mysticism assigned to these things. For example, their ability to mimic other voices, which is also ascribed to certain types of Bigfoot. The mimicry, just making the sound of a crying baby to draw people out, or even mimic voices to draw people away from camp. So I know there's a certain amount of supernatural elements that are ascribed to a Wendigo, but what if this weird disease could explain part of it? What if that's where we get the rake, or what if that's where the crawler comes from? These may not be true Wendigo, as the actual legend states. Maybe these are some version of a Wendigo, some either lesser species of Wendigo or something that mimics the legend.
Well,
John Cunningham says, when was the date of the first sighting of the Wendigo? They date back in Native American lore long before Europeans ever set foot on this continent.
Yeah, so as long as these stories have existed, I mean, like, that's plenty of time for some sort of disease to have mutated into what we would consider a Wendigo.
Right.
Especially if they predated. Well, think about it like this. Think about it like this, right? So before there was modern humans, there was plenty of other hominids, right? You had Homo habilis, you had Homo erectus, you had the Denisovans, you had all of these old humanoid beings on this planet. Yeah, Neanderthal, right? Some of them occupying the planet at the same time, right? And we've jumped down the rabbit hole of potentially, like Bigfoot having been one of those other tribes or something like that, right? And that's a whole other rabbit hole. But think about it like this: if some of these diseases existed back then, that is plenty of a time for them to just soup themselves into a modern monstrosity, something that we would not recognize as possible.
Right. And every civilization, doesn't matter, Native American, Northern European, African, every civilization, when they can't explain something, will generally ascribe supernatural elements to it. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that when you can't explain something, it is, we try to rationalize things as humans. So it's inside the realm of possibility that supernatural elements could have been ascribed to these things that we may only now be starting to come up with explanations for. Derek Buckle says, was the suggestion made of a Bigfoot eating a deer with chronic wasting disease? Could that explain a Wendigo? That's a terrifying thought, but yeah,
I don't.
Some of the Wendigo are described as very Bigfoot-like.
And I mean, like, it would explain their large stature but sickly appearance, you know what I mean? But falling back on you talking about, like, dismissing stuff as magic, right? It's like I pointed out before we started the show, right? If you went back in time and showed this phone right here, this iPhone 13, right? You go back in time and show this to Alexander Graham Bell. What does he think that is?
Witchcraft.
He's going to call you a witch, and he's going to burn you.
Maybe not. He was a scientific dude, but he won't believe the technology is that that advanced that quickly. Oh, I've got another super chat from Valerie. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Valerie.
You are awesome. It says, what if the disease were created by fallen angels, and these grotesque diseases could open portals in the affected for demonic possession? Again, it's an entire possibility. And I think that it is entirely possible that a true Wendigo may be some type of demon. That would explain the origins of the Wendigo on why it's able to do some of the things it can do. But what if there are other more earthly explanations for what these things are?
Yeah. Noah reminded me of that quote about how any sufficiently advanced technology would be described as magic.
Right.
Indistinguishable from magic. Yeah.
Hey boys, I need to step across the hall. I will be right back. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
Gotta say other things about him.
I hope
Yeah,
everything.
we're gonna talk crap about him.
Robby.
She said, Noah got me thinking, what if there's a human prototype that lived or was living for thousands of years? I mean, we've kind of covered that a lot on this show, right? Kind of rolled back that far for a while.
Yeah. I mean,
Now, are we talking about an individual living for thousands of years?
Well, like a vampire, like Strahd just kind of chilling.
Well, I'm just trying to clarify what the question was. Yeah, are we talking about
I think she means more of just like another like culture or another like
Gotcha.
type of humanoid.
Gotcha. Okay, I just want to make sure I was understanding, the premise.
Doc David By asked how Ranger's doing.
Yeah, I'm answering him right now.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's just moving slowly.
But yeah, we've had the idea of like Bigfoot being a remnant population of something that predates, written history. So I mean, Lene asked a question, but it might be better to wait for Dad to get back.
There's Dad.
So he can.
Oh wait, nope, he's still gone.
Nope, he's still. So I'll keep an eye on that comment, and I'll bring it back up when he gets here.
Aren't most animals able to smell disease? Well, we can start the ball rolling on this. Put that question back up.
Well, we got a $20 super chat from Kim Anderson.
Oh, thank you
so much.
Thank you so much. So Lene asked, question, aren't most animals able to smell disease, like dogs that smell cancer? Seems cryptids would be disinclined to eat a deer with CWD. I would be inclined to absolutely agree with that.
I would too.
I mean, think about how many dogs that can sense when people are going to have seizures if they have epilepsy. Think about
diabetes, cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, animals can sense when there's a storm coming. Like,
yeah, I mean they're way sharper than we are with that kind of stuff. So what we just like the animal attacks out here in Meeker, Colorado, and you see it from other animal attacks. Carrion birds, buzzards, vultures, whatever, they will not touch them. They will not touch the flesh at all.
Well, I guarantee you it smells rotted to them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, okay, but they like rotted flesh. That's a weird thing, though. That's what they eat.
These are animals that eat roadkill.
True, yeah.
But there's something.
Maybe it smells rotted, but rotted wrong.
Maybe it smells diseased.
True,
It's infected with something they know was harmful.
That would be harmful to them. So they're like, nah, it's time to go.
Mm-hmm.
Jimmy says, honestly, man, I don't understand how and why people think anything in particular can't exist, considering animals like the platypus.
He's got a good point.
Truth.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities to consider that they might be able to smell or even just kind of have a sense for it. A sense that we can't define.
Well, they can definitely smell fear.
Yeah.
I mean, they can smell those pheromones coming off your body whenever you have that body alarm response and you get that adrenaline dump. They can smell that.
Robby, can you do a mic check for us real fast? Can't hear you.
Nope. Robby, be right back. So while again, we're not presenting this as a be-all end-all theory.
Right.
It's a theory.
What we are saying is when you look at those maps of where rabies cases are reported and chronic wasting disease and Wendigo sightings, we're seeing a great deal of overlap. So those are just facts. Take them how you will, interpret them how you will. but the fact that there are overlaps of all three areas certainly does give you fuel for thought. It might be nightmare fuel, but it is fuel for thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just good to give people something else to think about versus what we've all heard or what we've all read. And the thing is, DA, from a scientific standpoint, I think Steve will concur with this. It's plausible.
Roxanne Delgado says if a Wendigo is a demon spirit, chronic wasting disease would have no effect on it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something otherworldly and something not of this realm, right? If it's something from hell, per se, right? Then yeah, I mean, like there's no tangible disease that we could get that it could get in theory, right? But
the whole rules of biology would be different.
Right. Yeah. Even from another planet, something from Mars, right? Like.
Thank you, Jimmy. He says it's a theory grounded in logic, as previously stated. CWD plus rabies could be a logical explanation of these creatures. Just don't add the cove, and we're good. No zombies.
No zombies, please.
Seriously.
Yeah. Amen to that, brother.
You know, considering some of the descriptions of deer with advanced chronic wasting, they describe them as being very zombie-like. They do things that are out of the ordinary for deer. They've been reported eating other animals, which is out of the ordinary for deer, and in some cases, even walking on their hind legs.
I was about to say, there's been reported cases of them walking on their hind legs. So who's to say that a Wendigo sighting might not just be a deer that has just lost all of its brain and is now just basic motor functions and walking on its hind legs and just eating whatever it comes across?
Well, you throw the rabies in, it explains why they're hard to kill.
Exactly.
I mean, an animal with rabies is very hard to put down.
Yeah, because my brother Carly, he's watching a show, and he texted me earlier when we were talking about shooting a rabies infected animal. He shot a raccoon like multiple times, like I think it was like 9 or 10 times with his 22 before that some bitch went down. So crazy stuff. Oh, Stoner Paranormal Investigation subscribe. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for subscribing. Welcome to the DAX Machination.
Yeah.
So that could also explain the sightings where there's like blood trailing from the mouth, or like the faces are seen as like torn and scarred. Because if you think about the cases where animals have had parts of their brains hurt, or people who have like gotten shot, right? And it's just that perfect shot where it messes up their brain, but they're still there, right?
Right.
They will hurt themselves and not know it.
Well, an animal with rabies is very much like a person on bath salts. They don't feel a thing.
Right. So like if their face is torn up, they'll have no idea until someone points it out. Like, hey, your face is all screwed up. Oh, so it is. Not a great example of this though. Just an example of brain damage really kind of f***ing up the way somebody comes out. Look at Gary Busey, right? I love Gary Busey. Great actor. Loved him in Buddy Holly, right? But after his accident, he came out a bit f***ed up. So with the damage that he received to his brain, versus say something has like an incredible advanced disease that we don't understand how to combat, and it's just eating away at its brain. Think about when that runs away. Think about when that just is like a truck with its brakes cut. It's going to keep eating and eating and eating and eating away at that brain until you have something that is just going off of the most primal instincts. There's no, can I take this fight or not? There's no self-preservation. There's just, that looks like something I could sink my teeth into. I'm going to eat that.
Sorry, Robbie's having some technical difficulties. I'm having to send the link by send a link to the studio by other channels because he's having trouble getting his laptop to log back in. So give him just a minute. Jimmy G says, is bath salts a street name kind of thing, or people actually nomming bath bombs? I've never understood that one. Essentially, they're taking bath salts as you're thinking of them, and they're using those to make a version of methamphetamine. They're not just like eating bath salts. There's a process involved, but bath salts, like that, for example, the guy in Florida, there was a guy was on bath salts who attacked and ate the face of another guy, and I believe the police shot him like 16 times before he dropped.
Mm-hmm. And I apologize for getting like super tangential there, boys. That was not my intention.
Y'all hear me now?
Valerie Juice. Yeah, we can hear you. Valerie Juice says there's a video out of India of a horse with rabies, and the horse is so violent it's bleeding. Its mouth is bleeding. Well, that would explain Wendigo bleeding from the mouth. Not saying that's 100%. Again, folks, we're not claiming this is the be-all, end-all. This is the smoking gun. This is the proof of what's really a Wendigo. We're just offering a theory of what could logically explain some of this.
Yeah, like I got a bit tangential there for a second, but yeah, I mean, I'm not here saying that like anything is definitive or anything like that. I just, there's plenty of layers to things to consider before we jump directly to, is this thing just an evil spirit from hell,
Right.
Yeah, that bath salt thing was creepy as hell. I was in nursing school when we started seeing that, and there were some interesting cases at the psych hospital here in town.
Yeah, we had a few of those. There were actually a few cases of that crocodile stuff reported here in town too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's also some creepy shit.
Yeah. Basically just makes chunks of the flesh rot and fall off.
Yeah, because that's not at all terrifying.
Miss Lene says, please define tangential.
Going on a tangent.
Going off on like we do all the time when we deviate from the subject at hand and go off on another topic.
Yeah. Oh, look, a topic.
Jonathan says, has there been any reports out of the heart of Texas area? Off the top of my head, I don't recall any Wendigo sightings in Texas, but there have been through the Ozark Mountains, through Arkansas, and through Appalachia. So really, considering there are mountains in Texas, and there are places in Texas where it still gets cold in the wintertime, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I wouldn't say it's outside the realm of possibility.
Mm-hmm. Well, and if you follow the Wendigo legend, any place where people are prone to extreme hunger, I would think that the remote mountains would be no different than the high desert or some other place where where survival is more difficult.
Well, that brings up a good question. What about places like Ethiopia where hunger is there something that is comparable to a Wendigo legend in that area?
Could be. The Wendigo legend is not just during times of starvation. They had to have eaten of human flesh. And cannibalism is a great way to get that prion disease.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there are some
some
native tribes where they actually do eat the brains of their family members. It's their way of passing, their soul or whatever you want to phrase it down. Right. So.
Sounds tasty, don't it, Doc?
Yeah. Kenneth Calloway says, what is crocodile? Crocodile was a street drug that I believe it originated in Russia. And it did such bizarre things to the people who took it. It caused necropsy in the skin. Like chunks of flesh would just start rotting, and they called it crocodile because the areas affected of skin would start looking like crocodile skin. It would have that scaled look, and then chunks of flesh would just rot and fall off.
Yep, synthetic Russian heroin.
Dan.
I'm picturing them making this stuff. It's like we have made heroin, comrade. Your skin fall off, but still just as good.
He doesn't have any more skin, but it's heroin. Just like we just gonna brush past that first part there. What's up with that? Oh, don't worry about it. It happened to like 1 in 10 people.
Don't worry about that little guy.
Born to Run says, has anyone recovered from crocodile, or does it just kill you? Most cases, the people were so addicted to it, they kept taking it until it killed them. But I would assume that anybody that was able to kick the habit, I don't think that flesh would ever grow back. They would probably have to have that section of the body amputated. Doc, you're muted, bud. We can't hear you. We still can't hear you.
Jimmy said, yeah, but if they said 1 in 10 shoots didn't open, I wouldn't go skydiving. That's true shit.
Doc will be right back.
Man.
He's having sound quality. We're having all kinds of sound issues tonight. But, you know,
everything worked pretty good until we said the Wendigo stuff. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Throwing the conspiracy hat, tinfoil hat out there. Why does it always seem when we start talking about something that might or might not make a certain amount of logical sense, do we start having technical issues?
I was going to say we were doing great until we said the research was classified.
Damn satellite.
Stand still.
Who is doing this?
Yeah. Okay. Do y'all hear me?
Probably Steve. He's the one that's got OCD about it.
I
think it's Dad dicking with us.
Yeah,
He's over there muting audio.
Oh man. Yeah, I think he's been screwing with us this whole time. Just every once in a while going over here and just muting Robby. And
yeah. Ken Brock in earlier, he was like, and CIA has entered the chat.
Yeah. CIA surveillance team commented this.
Hey, I almost went to the CIA, but it was the Culinary Institute of America, not the other one.
They're like, yeah, they're getting a little too close. We're going to mute them.
Let's just turn them off.
Yeah.
We're going to need you gentlemen to log off.
We get the alert that says Agent 4610 has joined the channel.
It'll be like your books will have like a color code.
Agent Jacob Smith, who's that?
Well, I was thinking Agent Periwinkle has
So y'all got me 5x5?
We do now.
Read you loud and clear, Doc.
Copy that.
Oh, that's fine.
Lori Barnes says if chronic wasting disease was causing it, Bigfoot would definitely be dangerous. Chronic wasting disease is definitely dangerous, and it affects more than one species. So, again, this is just us spitballing a theory, and discussing theories and putting new theories out there is really how we kind of evolved the knowledge of cryptids in general. Not every theory is true, but we're certainly finding enough facts to at least land this theory somewhere in the basis of possibility. Is it possible? Yes. Is it plausible? That's, everybody, it's up to you guys to determine how plausible you believe it is, but it certainly hits a lot of the tick marks. Naoma says, your channel more like Agent 420. Yeah, you probably need to smoke something after listening to us for 2 hours.
That's why the CIA doesn't deem us a threat. They're like, nah, if anybody's listening to those guys, like they're obviously on something.
Oh, it's amazing. He's not wrong.
So this blending of chronic wasting disease and rabies could, in theory, explain for at least some of the Wendigo reportings and some of the chupacabra.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a terrifying thought that there's a real world explanation for why these things are cropping up, and also why the government works so hard to shut it up.
Well, if they're trying to make mutant zombie deers as a weaponized thing, I mean, that's probably not something that you want
Right.
Hell no.
use.
I'm picturing that in
I am
discussion,
too. That's why I'm tickled.
like a budget committee. Like, well, we need an extra 14 billion for the zombie deer project. That kind of went over budget. What?
What's this
Yeah,
line item budget
the-
number
the-
399 for?
Where the hell is
secretary-
George Romero when you need him?
Just sign it, damn it. We'll read it later.
Or
It certainly
congressman
does
or whatever.
explain-
It's just like, what? Wait, you said zombie? What?
Well, then you've got all these black budget projects. It certainly explains why the military's paying $250 for a freaking $8 hammer.
Yeah, I mean, like it would obviously be named something else. It'd be like, yeah, Congressman, I need you to sign off on the $350 million budget for the Apples for the Homeless program. Okay, yeah, I'll sign off on that.
They go back to the office. What did we get it? The apples for the homeless thing was a hit. We got it. Let's get some zombie deers.
Gentlemen, welcome to Project Apples for the Homeless. Just chronic wasting disease deer everywhere.
Jimmy G says real world explanations will eventually be found for all paranormal and supernatural entities and occurrences. As mentioned before, tech we don't understand looks like magic.
And sometimes it doesn't have to be tech. It could just be magic.
Yeah.
Or rather, it could just be things we consider to be magic, and they're completely natural.
Well, I mean,
Right.
think about how many we've said that on this show many times about things that there was a legend, you know, in times past that science has, you know, come to understand, and anything from diseases to what people used to call the Northern Lights. That I mean, that was the
Aurora Borealis.
Yeah, the Valkyrie dragging people across the sky to Valhalla.
The Valkyrie taking people across the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah, I mean, but that was, if you don't know, then you got to come. Like you said, you know, the human mind is going to try to rationalize and reason these things out. If you don't have the technology, well, that's just, you know, lights in the sky caused by, was it heat expansion or something like that, I think? Or
Right.
I mean, if you don't know that.
Thank you, Bizzle. Thank you so much. So just got the new book, and I'm about halfway through it. Holy shit, doesn't even begin to describe it. I love this extended universe. Thank you so much. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Me and Doc have been waiting for this book to drop so we could talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been privy to the thing from the beginning, so they've been involved in the process.
And where is it at on the Amazon sales, DA?
Let me check what it's at the moment. So give me just a second.
Not as high as it should be. Go buy a copy, everybody. Wherever
Yeah,
my
it's
camera's
not-
at, go buy a copy.
It's not as high as I because
shit, there's two of them.
the first one made it to number 1, but this one right now it's number 38 in U.S. horror fiction, number 55 in men's adventure books, and number 73 in men's adventure fiction in the Kindle store. So it's in the top 100 in 3 categories, but I'm really hoping we can push it to number 1 in at least one of those categories.
I need to bump that sucker up, man.
The other one was Western horror, right? Was that what it got number one in?
Well, Amazon changed all their categories around. So the categories the first book was in, I couldn't put it in those categories because they no longer exist.
Sons of
That figures.
Of course they did.
Yeah, they completely changed the category system. So,
Damn it, Bobby.
oh, and something else to let you all know, Amazon also raised their production costs for printed edition of the books. So if you see the cost of the print edition books going up, I apologize, but that is why, because Amazon is now taking a much bigger piece of the pie than they were previously. So the cost on all the print books went up. So
Like they weren't getting enough from you in the first place.
right, on a print edition, I make a small percentage. I make more money off the Kindle editions than I do the print editions. But in order for me to make any money at all, Amazon's got to get paid. So the print edition books are all going to be going up, unfortunately. Chistfree says, what I wanted this forever. What if there's things that exist only once and completely naturally, and we're only seeing remnants of them? That's entirely possible.
So I would like to expand on that a little bit. So I would imagine that it's incredibly possible because like look at things, even that we've seen evolve into being today, right? There are potential offshoots at every junction for something to come to be, right? And there are recorded instances in history of animals that existed and then didn't, right? Look at the Tasmanian tiger, right? It's not around anymore, right?
That we know of.
Well, yeah. But think about it like this. That's something that has happened a lot throughout history. So you could have these offshoot evolutions that are, hanging around for a while and doing their thing, but as they branch off further and further, they spread out further and further, and they start dying off more and more until we have 1, 2, 3, say 50 of them remaining in the world. And at that point, if we haven't discovered this species before, and there's only 50 of them remaining in the world, we're never going to discover that species. We're going to have theories about it. It's going to be a mythological creature, Well,
positively or negatively, everything's going to be impacted by evolutionary pressures.
Mm-hmm.
It's either going to encourage it or take it away. Whatever the environment will best suit.
So I think things having a bit more longevity to their lives, something living a little longer, but having existed for thousands of years, us seeing the very end of the remnant populations is entirely possible.
Well, take blue whales. We know that they still exist, but we don't know how many of them are still there because they're so rarely seen. So how do we know that the last blue whale that was sighted was not the very last one of the species? Because you just don't see them. So I mean, you that's a very good point, Noah. Because I mean, if you haven't ever seen it before, you're probably not going to see it.
Right? Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is like, if it's an endangered species already before we discover it, it's not a species to us. It's something that we can't conceive as something that occupied this earth alongside us. Because if it's something that we discover as endangered, we have no recorded history of it existing prior to that. So if we discover a species of, say, another species of deer, right? Say we discover a new an endangered species of fanged deer here in the United States. Just spitballing something absolutely random, right? Vampire deer, yeah. Say we have an American vampire deer, right? They've been here for thousands of years, but we discovered that there's only 10 of them remaining in the wild. We found one herd. That's the only herd. Now that we know what they look like, that's the only herd we've ever found. And it's the only herd we will find, right? What happens when those last 10 die off? Were they ever really considered a species to us? And how long have they existed? We have no idea.
They're cryptids.
Right.
Yeah, it's cryptid at that point. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And
the
then
coelacanth was considered a cryptid until they found out the people of Madagascar had been eating them for years.
Yeah.
The Billy Ape.
Mhm.
The Billy Ape was considered a cryptid.
The Billy Ape, the legend of the killer ape. They were like, oh, no, that doesn't exist. Like, oh, bull crap, here it is.
Mountain lions in the state of Missouri.
Yeah,
said,
they
no,
claimed
there aren't
forever
mountain
those
lions
didn't
here.
exist.
There aren't mountain lions in the state of Missouri. How would there be mountain lions here? We don't have mountains. And then, hey, look, here's a mountain lion. Oh, I guess we were wrong. Our bad.
Same with wolves. They've claimed for years there are no wolves in Missouri, and we know that's wrong now.
Well, okay, bringing up wolves. I was showing the big 5-inch track around today that I found outside my dad's house. There are no that I know of that I've been able to find reported sightings of red wolves in South Carolina. So I showed it to Ken Gerhardt. I asked him, Ken, you've been all over the United States, all over the world. What's the biggest wolf print that you've ever seen? He said, the biggest? I said, yeah. He said, probably close to 5 inches. So I showed him the picture. He said, wow, where was that at? And I said, South Carolina. He said, that's big, South Carolina. Okay, if there's never been a red wolf spotted in South Carolina, and all of a sudden I found this 5-inch track, what is it? Is it a red wolf, or is it a really, really big gray wolf, or is it something else? We don't know, because of what, like Noah said, you've never seen it there until you find some kind of evidence.
Yep.
I mean, and like Ken's basis was, he's been everywhere and he's seen wolf tracks everywhere. And he said the biggest that he has seen is that size. But he said that's big for South Carolina. I've never seen anything that big in South Carolina. So what is it then?
Right.
This is still in the same vein, but a little different. Camels in the Mojave Desert. Most people would be like, there aren't camels in the Mojave, right?
Yes, there are. There are
Yes,
camels
there
all over
are.
southern Arizona.
They weren't naturally occurring to Arizona.
Nope.
They weren't naturally occurring to the Mojave, but they are now.
What happened was, in the 1800s, Fort Huachuca, Arizona was what was called an Indian fighting post. It was put out there to help fight the Apache, because the cavalry was waging war against the Apache. Well, the Apache had the ability to urge their horses on farther and farther, and the cavalry couldn't do it. They couldn't match the Apache for their horsemanship. So they decided they wanted to try something that was different. They brought in camels. They brought in a couple of herds of camels and attempted to train the cavalry to chase the Apache from camelback, because camels can go for so long without water. The cavalry never really mastered it. They couldn't get the camels to act to
Camels
respond.
are stubborn. Oh my God, are those animals
So-
stubborn?
And when the army gave up, they just turned them loose. And there are literally thousands of camels roaming southern Arizona today.
They just they don't have any natural predators neither.
No,
They'll stomp their guts out.
yeah, they are mean animals.
Dude, I rode on a camel in Egypt, and I mean it was a cantankerous bastard. That's all I got to say about that.
From what I understand, like
I
camels,
don't know again, Doc.
from what I understand, camels don't reproduce very fast neither. So it's not like we've necessarily needed to just go out there and cull them. You know what I mean? I'm sure it's happened a couple of times, but like,
I think I might have ate some camel out there. I don't know, but they smell like a wet dog.
you know, I have had camel before, and it's very it's very. I'll tell you that. Oh my God.
And shots fired.
Read between the lines, Ken. I hate you.
You know, when he showed up at our house that day and I met him, you know, Doc's a shockingly very stocky guy. So it does give him a little bit of a taller stature than you normally think, right? However, when I shook his hand, I didn't know whether to shake his hand or pick him up by his armpits and go, wee, wee.
I was singing Yellow Brick Road or some crap like that. No, I don't know. looking for me to give you a golden ticket or some crap? I don't
Oh
know.
my god.
We represent the lollipop.
I have brought a bottle of whiskey for you.
Hey, I'm Ken. Stocky equals husky. Yeah.
No. I was shocked at how broad this man was, and not in the me sense. All right.
Thank you. See,
He's
And I-
little guy jacked.
just to let y'all know, I didn't pay Noah to say that. That was not a paid endorsement for my stockiness or my huskiness, Ken.
Yeah, no. The reason why my PayPal was going off is totally unrelated. Oh man.
Doc's not wiry. He's husky.
I'd hate to see Doc in a kilt, though. I'm pretty sure it'd be ankle length.
That was uncalled for, Noah.
Well, Doc and I, I give Doc credit for being. I give Doc crap for being short, but I'm 5'10", and he really ain't that much shorter than me.
What Dad doesn't tell you is he was standing down the stairs from him.
Hush, Noah, don't tell all my damn secrets, man.
He was actually sitting on my knee at the time.
I'm picturing Doc having to hike up his kilt with one hand when he goes into combat. Yeah, it's just not right.
He has to hike it up so it doesn't get muddy when he crosses a puddle.
That's right.
See, if
That's all right. Hey,
DA and Doc stood side by side, we would look like the Verizon signal bars.
there's me in the kilt right there, and it's not from the kids section neither.
That's what I was about to ask.
Actually, he just wrapped a scarf around his waist.
Hey, I've got a fly plaid over here. I mean, you're more than welcome to wear that next time.
I didn't realize
Yeah,
that Granimal
28
Spade
minutes
kilts.
left.
Apparently
What
they
am I doing
do.
without you hateful bastards.
Oh man.
Oh my
gentlemen,
god!
we've lost the topic again, and this time it was once again making fun of Doc for his height.
That's all right. You know what? But I'll be taller than every one of you son of bitches when you lay it on the ground wounded.
Doc,
He's got a point.
listen. That's
He might
all
still
y'all.
He might still have to get on a step stool, but he'll get up to chest level and do compressions.
That is correct.
With the heel of the boot.
Oh man.
We got
I wouldn't mess with Doc. Even Tolkien realized that dwarves were dangerous over short distances.
They were more dangerous if you threw them at the orcs, though.
Doc is
Don't
very
tell me
dangerous.
else.
Doc's a natural sprinter. Very dangerous over short distances.
That's my speciality.
See, niggas, I've been throwing Doc. We keep on teasing Ken about being the tactical midget. Now we're gonna make Doc into the ballistic midget. Launch him at somebody.
Intercontinental ballistic.
443 Big Vic says they're always after me Lucky Charms.
Hey, if me and Kim were on a wild hunt with y'all, then it'd just be tactical midget power twins activate. So,
Oh man. Wonder Twin Munchkins activate.
that's right.
Oh man.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
The medical Munchkin Brigade.
Hey, we're good at short distances. That's for sure. That's what Ken just said. That's what Ken just said.
That's why, in Doc's hands, an SBR is a long rifle.
That's right. Well, like I'm storming Normandy Beach, man. But all I gotta do is shoot one of y'all in the knee, and then I can run faster than any of you. So there you go.
Doc, you ain't got to shoot me in the knee to outrun me.
I was about to say, I got asthma. I got about 10 paces in me before I'm like.
Y'all remember I train up here at altitude, so yeah.
Doc, the last time we were on here, though, we talked about me wearing you on my back so that way you can cover my back. So I mean, like,
it's like master blaster.
So I mean, like, if
your
I'm
height
not
is-
running, you're not running. You know what I mean? So,
Doc, at your height, is it really high altitude?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, everything's high altitude for me, DA. I'm just saying.
Noah, if you put Doc on your back, would he be a tactical assault backpack?
More or less, yeah.
Hey,
He just rides in the same pouch as the camelback.
And by more or less, I mean definitely less.
I just be yelling, "Who run Bartertown?" the whole time I'm shooting.
Blaster.
Oh Lord!
Oh,
my
Give
God,
Doc
I
a
almost
gun, he
spit
becomes
my
an
drink.
NFA item.
Yeah, I gotta get
Karen's-
a tax stamp for Doc on my back.
He's like a suppressor. Karen Polson wants to know what the next book I'll be working on. Hopefully, if things go as planned, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. I'm hoping to have 2 releases this month. One of them is going to be a collection of short stories. The collection of short stories is going to have the following short stories in it. I just happen to have a list right here. It's going to have Demons Part 1 and 2, which Part 2 is almost done. It's going to have a story called Beast of the Lake, another story called House in the Woods, Wrath of the Dogman, and a New Mexico Dogman story set in 1982. So it's going to be a collection of short stories that will feature all of those. And hoping to have the fantasy novel that the folks on Patreon have read the first couple chapters of. I'm hoping to have that done by the end of the month as well. And if things go really crazy, it might actually have the next Nightmare Hunter novel out also, because I'm well over 50% through both of those books.
The Wrath of the Dogman, that's the one you sent me that I like so much, right?
Right. Yep.
You read that one, Doc?
I don't think I have. Did I, DA? Did you send that one to me?
I don't know if you've read it, man. I can send it to you though.
Yeah, send it to me.
See,
I don't know, man. I have read so much stuff that I cannot remember, man.
Well, if you're a member of the Patreon community, Wrath of the Dogman is available to be read right now on the Patreon community.
And in the immortal words of Cousin Eddie, it is good.
Hey, Doc, we got another one.
That's just uncalled for, wasn't it, Doc?
Mean and hateful. Mean and hateful.
That's how we ambush people, though. We keep Doc in a stroller.
It's all right.
Papa
Hey,
Bear's-
who's the smart one? Y'all are pushing my ass around.
Doc's planning his revenge.
Somebody posted something earlier and it cracked me up. They talk about Doc. They said, "Say hello to my little friend."
Papa
can't
Bear
remember
says,
who
what
posted
about
I'm looking
Man's
for.
Marauders? Probably looking at springtime for the next
Ooh.
Man's Marauders. David By says, which one is Wrath of the Dogman? It's the one set here in Missouri. It's set down in Moon Valley. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it. It's on the Patreon, though. It's called Wrath of the Dogman. Wyatt Estes says, DA, the new book was awesome. Thank you, man. I'm really glad you like it. Saddle up the cat for Doc. There we go.
Just ugly. Just hurtful. Just hurtful.
David By says, why carry a med kit when you can carry the medic?
Yeah, why carry a med kit when you can carry?
That's hurtful.
Kenneth Calloway wants to know when Oshkosh Bagosh started making med kits.
See,
I
Doc,
could say so many. I could say so many things to that, but this is a family show, so I'm trying to keep it.
See, I'm probably
My
going to
God.
get kids
Oh,
on this
my
one.
God.
Like sharks smelling blood in the water.
Oh, man.
Ken says maybe I should rename short stories to Doc stories.
And that's the pot calling the kettle black there, Ken.
It was
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. In the field work, gonna have to be Doc riding on my back, and Brock Blades is gonna have to ride on like
Oh,
Robbie's
my
back or
God.
something like that.
That's right. That's right.
Oh man.
No, just put one on each side of you to balance your plate carrier out.
Oh, true.
Carry Doc on the front and Ken on the back.
Well, I mean, like if I'm only wearing a plate up front, so that way Doc can use just his front plate. I mean, like we've got pretty decent balance there. Maybe I'll have Brock Blades up on my shoulders, you know, so that way we got three coverage, you know, 3 coverage zones off of one guy.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Versus,
There's
I
nothing
guess
on
I could pick Doc up at Baby Gap.
Damn.
You could try.
Oh man.
It's savage tonight. And the sad thing is, somebody made a comment. It was like, "Oh, what was in the cups? What are you guys drinking?" I literally have been drinking nothing but tea, and this is what's happening here. So, yeah.
I got a vodka cranberry.
I had a tequila cran.
He's drinking whiskey.
Oh man, we got way off topic, gentlemen. We made it about an hour in before we lost our topic.
Almost an hour and a half. We made it almost an hour and a half.
And then we just lost it.
So, Little Penny has a question for you there, DA. Isn't that Demons?
Demons 1 and 2 are Margolin backstory. Both
That's
of those.
what I thought.
Demons 1 is available right now on the Patreon community. You can read the entire story. Demons 2 is almost done. If I'm about 12,000 words, almost 13,000 words into Demons Part 2. Both of those stories are going to be right at 20,000 words. So they're really not short stories. They're novellas. Short stories are between 6,000 and 10,000 words. These are both right at 20,000 words. So they're both going to be novellas. Beast of the Lake is about 3,500 to 4,000 words. House in the Woods is about the same size. Wrath of the Dogman is about 7,000 words. The New Mexico Dogman story is going to be probably another one of those that's up to between 15 and 20,000 words. So when this new compilation, which I haven't got a title yet, comes out, it's going to have basically 3 novellas and 3 short stories in it.
Y'all gonna like him.
Honcho says he had a 68 novella.
Oh man!
All right, then.
And to let y'all know how much I appreciate all the super chats tonight, I'm going to be saving the super chats up for the next few months. Over the last couple of years, I've probably spent several $100s on desk chairs. The one I have is a piece of crap. Noah found a very fantastic desk chair, so I'm going to be saving my money to get that. Unfortunately, it's a rather pricey chair. But it's designed for big guys. Most desk chairs you can buy off Amazon are rated to between 200 and 250 pounds. And a year ago, I was 326 pounds. I'm down to 255 now. But these chairs are rated for a much bigger people. And I've tried Noah's chair out. He just got it.
This one's rated for 400 pounds.
Yeah, so I'm saving up to get one of those chairs. It'll be much better for my back. That's part of the reason I haven't been getting as much writing done lately, is because after about 2 hours, this chair kills me. So keeping my fingers crossed, in the next couple of months, I can save up, get one of those chairs.
Nice.
Yeah, and I don't have any complaints about this chair. Like, I was fortunate enough that like my chat contributed a lot towards it. So these chairs, like my chair specifically, because I got one of the themed ones, ran me $700. But you know, like I said, I was fortunate enough that like people in my chat were contributing a good amount of money towards that. I think I spent $200 out of my pocket to get it, and you know, I don't regret it in the slightest. I do not. This chair, I'm not certain, but it could very well be more comfortable than my bed. Like I truly mean that. This chair is wicked comfortable.
Now, for me to spend 6 to 8 hours a day in a chair writing, it's got to be one that's got the back support that I need, because my lower back is shot. That I wouldn't be walking today if it weren't for that spinal ablation. And it's not that the damage in my back has been fixed; it is not fixed. It is going to continue to get worse over the coming years. The ablation just killed the pain receptors, and I'm still damaged. And my pain management doctor told me flat out, you were in no way fixed. You were just going to get some quality of life back because you won't be feeling it.
You're just not getting those nerve impulses to your brain going, hey, yeah, you're pretty screwed up.
Thank you, Wyatt.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah. His spine is still hurt, but just too dumb to realize it at this point.
Exactly. Yeah, when Steve was the one that recommended the surgeon. He's one of the best spinal surgeons in the Midwest. His name is Dr. Strang, Strang. I always thought it was funny because of like Doctor Strange. So of course I would go to a Marvel doctor, but when he took a look at the MRI of my back, he's like, "Dude, I don't know how you're walking now."
Yeah, he's the only neurosurgeon in Missouri I know it that will do brain stem surgeries, and
he told me
pretty
flat
ridiculous.
out. He told me flat out. He said there is no way I'm cracking open your spine unless you're already in a chair. He said because you've got about a 4 to 5% chance of coming out of the surgery walking.
Yeah, because when you and I went up to Joe Bald, man, yeah, I was amazed when I saw DA. First time we'd met in person in over a decade, 12 years. It was crazy because, lost a lot of weight, but he was spry, man. He was, we were walking up in the woods and everything like that. And whenever he and I talked last year before he got the ablation done, it was like, man, I am about this close to being in a wheelchair. So it was pretty
we
amazing.
talked a lot off camera, a year ago before I had that ablation done, and I didn't talk about it much on the air, but Doc knows I was picking out wheelchairs.
Yeah, you were.
Well, when we were planning one of our first excursions, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about going places where
That's right, Robby.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it, dude.
We could get in Doc side by side, or go somewhere where we could put a chair in the back of his side by side.
Yeah. And I was looking at outdoors off-road capable wheelchairs.
Mm-hmm.
We still need that minigun mount on it.
Yeah, but to expand on what Doc was saying, when DA and I and his wife Annette were walking around in Gatlinburg, I mean, thousands and thousands of people, and DA was just moving through them and walking. We walked up that big hill, and
8 months ago that would have been impossible.
Yeah,
there's no way I could have done that.
Yeah.
A big chunk of my diminished back pain is the amount of weight I've lost. But if it weren't for that ablation, I guarantee if I hadn't had that ablation, I'd been in a wheelchair by now.
One place to the other. I mean, you couldn't exercise, so you gained weight, and then when you were able to move around, you lost that weight, and as a result of the ablation. So it's a secondary effect, thankfully.
Griff says walking in Gatlinburg is miserable. Annette and I really enjoyed it. We found some really nice restaurants, some really cool places. Gatlinburg was packed, don't get me wrong, but there are benches everywhere. So when my back would start hurting, I would just sit down for 10, 15 minutes and talk to Annette, and then we'd get up and go somewhere else.
Yeah, packed is definitely the operable term for that. I mean,
it was definitely packed.
That was a mass of humanity.
I'll be right back.
Dan.
So the Patreon stuff and the channel, what the channel makes in donos, probably over the next few months are going to go to this new desk chair. So just a big thank you to everybody who's donated and been members of the channel and support the Patreon. But I'm going to be saving that up to get a chair that'll help me long term for my writing. Valerie Juice says, "Do not do." I'm not going to do surgery unless I absolutely have to. The thought of going under the knife is terrifying. She said, "We had many patients come through our family pharmacy more messed up after the fact. Many people had many regrets. I don't." Unless there's no other option, I'm not getting the surgery because like Steve was saying, Dr. Strang's the best in the Midwest, and he was like, I don't recommend it. Yeah, I said I don't. The chances of you walking afterwards are so low.
Yeah, I trust his judgment.
I do too.
He's
because he was honest with me, just straightforward.
You know, he's a ridiculously talented individual, and if he doesn't feel comfortable with it, I would take that to the bank.
Poncho Zorch says Ozark Bigfoot Conference. Yeah, I will be at the Ozark Bigfoot Conference. It's in a couple of weeks in Ozark, Missouri. Yeah, I'll be there with books. Two Shadows says I have a TENS unit. I've got one of those. I've used the hell out of that TENS unit over the years.
I've used it even.
Yeah, that thing's damn handy. Penny Van says, Robby, you're looking mighty chic tonight, sir.
What does that mean?
What do you mean by that?
You're looking good for a hillbilly.
We need Doc back on to translate for us.
Yeah, Doc's here. Don't send me big words that I don't know, because
Gotta have Doc here to explain it to him.
although I'm sure Ken will explain it to me in the chats too.
Papa Bear's heading for bed. Good night, man. Thanks for being here, dude.
Hey, good night, Papa Bear.
Not Papa Bear.
Hey,
There's Doc.
Speak of the devil.
Hello, Doc.
howdy. Y'all talking ill about me while I was gone?
Yeah, that
No,
was actually
no.
our exact intention.
Somebody used a big word. We felt bad for Robby because nobody was there to explain it to him.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Ken. Yeah, Ken. Here's it. I'll help Robby. I'm here for you. When I come out, I'm going to be in South Carolina in November, so I know Lord willing, I'll get to see Robby and Ken both. So I'm going to stay there for a couple extra days. It'll be an interesting time on the show.
We at least gonna have to. The three of us gonna have to go out for supper, if nothing else. I'm still gonna try to get in that class though.
It'll be fun.
I think Jimmy G just had an
An epiphany moment.
Yeah, I am that Steve. My wife Rachel is the amazing cook that the bar's based on as well.
Jimmy G says explains why he's kind of exactly as I pictured the character in my mind.
Funny.
Yep.
I love it. Yeah,
Miss Lene says South Carolina won't be the same.
Yeah, Ken said I'm going to get to put in work at the shop. So he's already told me he's got a little private project for me. So he's like, yeah. He said, I'm going to stand there and smoke a cigar while you do the work.
Funny. Yeah,
Hey, Ken, I'll bring the cigars if I can stand and watch too.
Can I bring nothing and still have one and watch?
Y'all are both turds.
you know it's the whole pub and grub thing. DA was telling me a while back that I guess the pub and grub is located supposedly near the south gate of Fort Leonard Wood, right?
Yeah, the Fort Leonard Wood South Gate.
And people have actually shown up there looking for it. They've come through Missouri. It's like, well, we'll stop there while we're at it. I'm pretty sure that the people at the post probably don't care much for us right now.
Well, I would tell you, the south gate of Fort Leonard Wood is in the butt crack of nowhere. There is nothing out there.
That's why they call it Fort Lost in the Woods, right?
Fort Lost in the Woods.
Yeah.
I like this. Thank you. I appreciate that, David Neal.
And the thing with Fort Leonard Wood is like the front gate is near a city. The back gate is just the woods.
Yeah, it is. There's a highway that runs up to the south gate, and that's it. Right in the heart of the Mark Twain National Forest.
Ding, 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 ding.
I have a buddy who was stationed at Fort Leonard Woods for years, right? He did all of his training up there. He trained up there for a while. Like he was an instructor up there for a while. And now he's instructing down in Hawaii, but that's neither here nor there. I asked him one night, I was like, hey man, I got a really weird question for you. He's like, what's that? And I said, when you were at Leonard Wood, did you ever personally or get told stories of weird shit happening? I said, particularly at like the perimeter line. And he was like, oh, I can't tell you how many times either me or any of my guys would be on the perimeter line or at the back gate. He specifically mentioned the back gate, and I hadn't mentioned it yet. He said, and we would have shit thrown at us. we would hear weird noises coming out of the woods. Sometimes the woods would just fall silent. He said, and there was one time where I was patrolling the back fence line and I could hear something keeping pace with me in the woods on the other side of the fence.
That's Bigfoot activity, Bubba.
You want to know something else, Noah?
What's that?
Fort Carson here in Colorado has the same stories.
Really?
Because Fort Carson is a huge military reservation, and they've had some weird cryptid events happen out there when platoons, are out on bivouac out there. Guys have been had their tents caved in, rocks, sticks, pine cones thrown at them. One dude even got dragged out of his tent, and it was not a bear because there were no teeth marks on him, claw marks, nothing like that. So, yeah.
It's almost as if the military put these places near these hubs of activity.
Well, Mark,
that could be a good show. That could be a good show, DA.
Are these bases there for a reason? Well,
Yeah.
Fort Leonard Wood is over 25,000 acres, most of it forested, and it is right smack up against the Mark Twain National Forest.
Yep. Look at Fort Carson. Look at the acreage out there in the foothills of the Rockies, man. I mean, it's right there. I mean, it's crazy.
I'll ask my buddy.
Fort Carson is 137,000 acres.
Jesus.
And PCMS is 236,000 acres.
Thad Brown says same stories at Fort Campbell too.
So I'll ask my buddy who is on Leonard Wood if he wants to be on the show, but I sincerely doubt it. I sincerely doubt it because one, he's still active military, and when I talked to him about it, he said, I would rather you not mention me by name if you mention these stories.
We could keep his camera blacked out.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I think we found another show we could go off topic on.
He said, I would rather you not mention me by name if you mention these stories because they could get me in serious trouble.
Yeah, and Eric Testerman says Fort Riley, Kansas has a lot of activity as well.
Interesting. We might have hit on something there.
Yeah, I think maybe a show there.
Do it, Robby. There you go. I was waiting for it. There you go.
That just means I'm left out. I don't get it.
I'm almost left out, Steve. I'm on a seat on this council, but I'm not granted the rank of master. You know what I mean?
I'm not a master.
Well, see, I'm in a position where I just can't piss off the emperor. So, yeah, I could shave twice a day and still be able to have 5 o'clock shadow, but the warden does not approve.
Oh, holy smokes. It's already been 2 hours and we were on for most of it. So yay.
Good chunk of it.
It's a rare occurrence, but it's been known to happen.
I'll say,
well, boys, why don't we
15
talk
minutes of
about
obligatory busting on Doc.
why don't we talk about our sponsors, our affiliate programs? Doc, since you're here, we could have you tell us a little bit about Dark Angel Medical.
Hey, yeah, man, Dark Angel Medical. If y'all have read any of DA's books, and I hope y'all all have, if you've not, you need to buy all of them, like every one of them. DA and I started talking back in 2012 when I was reading Ragnarok Rising series, and I was reading some of his medical scenarios, and I asked him, I think it was on Facebook, I'd sent you a message. What, DA? Yep. And I said, who does your medical stuff? And he's like, he said, I've been coming out with this stuff, from stuff I learned in the military. And I said, well, I happen to own a medical company, and it went forward from that. And so all of his characters carry our kits, and he'll, wake me with the requisite 2-3 o'clock in the morning, hey, fucker, you up post, message. And we'll be talking about medical scenarios. But my company was started out with the premise of providing medical products to everybody, and also the training that goes along with that, because as a lot of you who are prior military, some of you who maybe EMS personnel, there's not a whole lot of in between there, and that's where my courses take their fill their niche. And so we not only provide medical products from minor trauma first aid to major trauma first aid, we also provide the training, whether it's in-person training or online training, to even our YouTube videos where we have tutorials on how to actually use some of these products. And we're up to 172 saves as a result of that, which is pretty freaking awesome. We are veteran-owned, disabled veteran-owned small business, and we will replace whatever you have used out of your kit. If you save someone's life, we'll replace what you used out of your kit 100% free of charge. It's called our Kit for Life Guarantee. And if you go over to darkangelmedical.com, check us out, check out our training schedule if you want us. And if we're in your area, come see us, come get one of the classes in person. I guarantee it will be life-changing. And we will give you some information that will definitely be life-changing. But the products we have range, like I said, anywhere from minor trauma to major trauma, all the way up to mass casualty type situations. And if you use the coupon code cryptid25, that'll be your 25% off coupon code. We run these sales every now and then on our site, but this is a code just for the DA Ex Machina Nation, and we appreciate your business and we appreciate your support. If you use the coupon code in that on your order, but you enter in the order notes Team Odin, we'll throw in a cool little Team Odin rocker in there for you as well, just as a way of saying thank you for your support. So head over to darkangelmedical.com and check us out. We have a lot of information on our website as far as our kits go, and head over to our YouTube channel, hit a like and subscribe, and we'll appreciate that, obviously. But it's more for information and just to get people home at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Robby, you want to talk to us a little bit about Scallywag?
Sure thing. Like
I'm sorry. Hold on one second, Robby. All our products are HSA, FSA eligible. Dalton always tells me about that. He said, you got to tell people about that. So yeah, all our products are HSA, FSA eligible as well.
Good.
That's all I got to say about that.
All right.
Sorry.
So, like Doc said, with his company being a small veteran-owned company, Scallywag Tactical is another one of those small veteran-owned companies. If you, like Doc said, if you read the books, and if you hadn't, go get them all. But Scallywag Tactical is featured very heavily in all of DA's books. Knives like the Sailor-assisted folder, Doc's little sword that he's got in his hand.
I was waiting for that. This is the mini jack.
The mini jack. DA's got the razor. Noah's got the Jolly Roger. And Steve, you got yours? I can't say there's.
I don't. I'm in the living room. My wife's using the office tonight. Well, I have the Privateer, the Orca, a couple of mini jacks. Got another one too, Jolly Roger.
These are some of the best knives that you'll ever buy. You're not going to be able to go anywhere and buy a Spyderco, a Kershaw, Gerber, Trade, any of those big name brand knives that's going to cost you $200, $300, up to even $400 or $500 for some of these knives. You're not going to be able to go and get one of them and it be any better than these knives right here. And these knives are like, I would say, what, a third of the price, even when you pay full price for these. And that's the kicker right there. You don't necessarily have to pay full price for these knives. This knife retails for $45, which, pretty decent price knife. But they've got this thing called the blemish blades. Now, blemish blades does not necessarily mean that there's anything wrong with the blade. DA's got one knife that's got a little small smudge on the blade. Doesn't affect
this one. Yep. There's a little scrape right up there on the blade, and that was it.
Doesn't affect the performance of the knife at all. A lot of times it's just the box is messed up, and they can't sell them for brand new. I got this knife as a $45 knife, retails $45. I got it for $15.
and they're pretty sharp too, y'all. My brother just sent me a text. He said, and they will cut the crap out of you if you ain't careful.
They will cut you 3 ways, right, Doc?
Long, deep, and continuous.
And if you got one of these, you don't have your Dark Angel medical kit, you might want to get your Dark Angel medical kit to own these
Keep
knives.
it handy.
Just in case.
I'm just saying.
DA and I have the distinction of being 2 idiots that have cut themselves online during the show with these knives.
We both did it.
While I was actually opening this chair here, I had to use my knife to cut away some tape. And instead of cutting the tape, the knife decided, no, I'm going to cut the plastic. And it just went straight through the plastic. It just, I was like, I didn't cut the tape. That was strange. And then just took the plastic off and threw it away. Looked at the knife, nothing wrong with this. All right.
And, like we said, if you read the books, you're going to see Scallywag Tactical all through the books. Most all the teams in the Wild Hunt carry these knives, and there's a reason for that. We all like these knives. We all carry these knives. That's why we promote these knives so heavily. DA believes in them just like he believes in – pointing the wrong way, Doc, sorry. Just like he believes in Doc's kits. It's not something that we get or that it's a matter of that it's a paid sponsorship. It's because this is stuff that we believe in. We use in our everyday lives. This is my dress up now when I go out because it's a nice, prettier looking knife. I carry my Orca on my duty gear every day when I'm at work, and my Jolly Roger is my around the house knife that from a shop and things like that. They're just great all-purpose knives. I mean, if you can't find a good EDC knife there, then you're looking for the wrong type of thing. Because
Noah's a trained chef, and he can tell you about the kitchen knives.
I was about to say, Jimmy made a comment saying, dude, I want the Scallywag kitchen set so bad. I can tell you after using those knives and using several $1,000 sets of knives in culinary classes. For reference, chat, I was in culinary classes for 6 years of my life. I've used a lot of knives. I'm terrified of the things. That's neither here nor there. But I've used a lot of really expensive knives, particularly in the later years in college. And these are the best knives I've ever used. Like, bar none, in the kitchen, these are the best knives I have ever used. We used a set of knives when I was in culinary classes. My last semester in classes. It was an imported set of Japanese knives. They were wonderful. They were great. They held an edge super well. But these are better. Like, that's not me being opinionated because I own them. I'm telling you genuinely, these have just went through seeds from peppers effortlessly. I've nicked myself a couple of times with them and not even realized until like well later. I'd been like, oh, I'm bleeding. Oh no. These knives are wicked sharp and we haven't had to sharpen them once since we got them. They're still wicked sharp.
I've taken the Santoku knife and shaved off pieces of tomato thin enough to read through.
Just to prove that we could.
Yeah, just to see how if I could do it.
They are wicked sharp.
Ironically, it's a demonstration like that caused DA to bleed on the air.
Yes, it is.
That was DA.
You could shave with this. Oh shit, that was the story.
Mine was opening the knife and dropping it and trying to catch it with my bare hand.
Excellently done, gentlemen. Excellently done.
Hey, tis what it is. Doc, you muted again.
You're still muted.
There we go.
There you go.
Hey.
There you
Yeah,
go.
there we go.
Phew! I was like, it's just like dropping a gun. Don't try to catch it. Just like with a knife.
Let
Don't
it
try
fall.
to catch it. Just let it fall. Just let it go.
Yeah. And on a completely unrelated note, Quick Clot from a Dart Kit does a wonder in stopping a
which is why I always throw that in
gotta
there.
gotta
You're gonna
keep some
buy
quick
your
plot on
Scallywag,
hand.
buy your Dark Angel.
Keep Scallywag keeps me in business with y'all. I'm just saying.
Hey, listen, I haven't had the need to use one yet, but I bring one with me to the range every time I go.
There you
I
go.
insist on it. There's a Dark Angel kit with us at the range every time. And that leads us to our other affiliate, which is Ken Brock over at Brock Blades. You might have spotted Ken Brock in the chat, busting Robby and Doc, but Ken's a longtime friend of the channel and a heck of a good guy. He's another one of those affiliates we chose. There you go, Doc. We chose Ken not just because of his excellent product, but because we like to support our veterans and our first responders. And Ken's a career cop. Ken handcrafts his knives. Scallywag blades are fantastic. Don't get me, I'm not taking anything away from that. They are fantastic knives. But if you buy two of the gunner's mates and lay them side by side, they're identical. You cannot tell them apart. Ken's blades are all handmade, each one of them one of a kind. They're not just works of art, they are functional works of art. They're like a Japanese samurai sword. They're beautiful to look at, but they're wicked deadly. These knives are all hand forged. No two of them are identical. And they are absolutely fantastic. Doc, what's that one called?
I love saying this name. This is the Street Weasel.
Incidentally, that was Doc's nickname in high school.
Yes, it was.
This one's the Skein-Dhu. It's a design, an old Scottish design. This was the knife that Highlanders carried as a holdout blade in their sock. They also used it to eat and for everything else under the sun. It was a good utility knife. But like I said, all of Ken's blades are handcrafted. So if you order one of the ones that's available through the website, no two of them will be identical. And if you order a custom, you can decide which type of handle, what type of material, shape of the blade, the style of the knife. So no two will be identical. And if you've got anybody in your life that's an outdoorsman, hunting, fishing, cryptid hunting, first responder in any capacity, military veteran or current active duty, someone that uses a knife a lot in any respect, is going to love the gift of a handmade custom knife. And they are absolutely fantastic blades. They're wicked sharp, and they are made with exacting skill. They are fantastic blades, and again, no two of them will ever be the identical blades. That's why I chose the Brock Blades Ardennes as Will Grey Eagle's personal knife. He carries that in the stories, and
I was going to say it featured in the books, didn't they?
Mm-hmm. Sure is. That's Will Grey Eagle's personal choice of a knife. But go to brockblades.com. You can check out all the blades he currently has on sale, and you can also custom order a blade. So if you order one of the blades he has for sale on the website, make sure to use discount code cryptid10 for 10% off your order. Or if you custom order a blade, make sure in the description you include cryptid10. And that you heard about brockblades.com through this channel, and he will give you the 10% off on that as well. So definitely give these companies some love. They're first responder and veteran-owned companies, and we are damn proud to support them.
Heck yeah.
DA, you make it a point in each of our shows to mention the 22 a day.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to tell you this off the air, but I got to have an interaction with one of those situations the other night. Had a fella come into the urgent care, and he had cut himself pretty severely up and down his wrist and arm. And of course, I took one look at the wound, realized that we weren't treating it in the urgent care, and put a tourniquet on his arm. And as fast as my fat ass would roll a wheelchair, we went down to the emergency room. On the way down, we come to find out he was an Afghan war vet, and the demons got a hold of him that night. And we saved him. He's going to get the help he needs. But it hit me so hard. And I kept thinking of that number, 22 a day, and it bugged me. I had to have a little bit of fermented pharmaceutical to deal with that when I got home from work that day. So
Well, I've got my 22 a day bracelet that I always wear, and I don't know if you can see it on the microphone, but there's a 22 a day band that's on my mic. It's always there. I'm a strong supporter of the 22 a day foundation because we lose 22 veterans a day on average to suicide, and that is 22 too many. Um, these men and women have given their all for this country, and the least we can do is give back. We owe them everything. We owe them our safety. We owe them our freedom, and we owe them our thanks. And reach out to those who have served in any capacity as a first responder, or a veteran or a still active member of the military, because they see and experience things that you just, unless you've been there, you can't possibly imagine what they've experienced. Um, Robby is still an active cop. I was a cop for a better part of 20 years. Doc was, a special forces medic. He has seen his share of blood and death. And that sticks with people. That's something when you close your eyes at night, you still see that. Whether you've unbuckled, a dead child from a auto accident, or pulled a floater out of the lake, or you've held somebody's hand and told them everything was going to be all right when you knew damn good and well they were about to bleed out. These things take their toll on these men and women, and God bless each and every one of them for doing it for us. Reach out to your friends, reach out to the people that that have seen this crap, and let them know that you're there. Whether it's the obligatory, "Hey, fuck, are you awake?" 2 a.m. text that I send Doc occasionally, or just letting them know you're thinking about them, because Steve helped pull a guy back from the edge, and I thank God that story touched me deep, Steve. It really did. Yeah, I don't even know who the guy is, and I may never know him, but you pulled him back from the ledge, and brother, that is amazing.
It was interesting. He came in, and they call it nurse check, like they tend to do when people come in with stuff that we probably shouldn't be treating, and that was actually, it sounds terrible, but that night was a win, because he got the help he needed. But then we also actually managed to identify a guy who was having a class 1 stroke too, and he came in. He was complaining of this pain kind of right in the behind his ear. He's had it for a couple of days. It was just kind of worsening. It's like, at the point I could hardly stand it. And as a medic, Doc probably knows this, but you eventually kind of, sometimes you run across something, you go, something ain't right. It just makes my ass itch. There's there's more to this. And I took him down to the emergency room, and as they're checking him in triage, he seizes, and he had a subarachnoid bleed, and it was a class 1 stroke. And so he, they were able to rush him to surgery, and presumably he's got, he's still with us. But the vet hit me. I said, he had his arm wrapped up in kind of a towel, and when I pulled it up, I could see he had a wound about 4 inches across, 4 inches long, and gaping open about a half an inch, and I could see both bones in his forearm. And he had cut up the underside of his arm as well. And I'm like, yep, this is why we carry a Cat 7 at both of our triage desks, and why they train us to put one on within 15 seconds. And it bothered me. It bothered me a lot. Yep. And I asked him, what happened. What brought him in, and all he could tell, he was fairly intoxicated. All he could tell me was Afghanistan. I just put my hand on his shoulder and I said, "Hold on, here we go." So, I can't understand what he's going through, but
to kind of expand on some of this, I know a lot of y'all see us cutting up with each other in this, but DA, Doc, Steve, and I, there rarely is a day goes by that the four of us don't communicate with each other, whether it's maybe once or sometimes more than that. People don't realize how important that support system is. If it's like the "Hey, fuck, are you awake?" text versus, or just, "Hey man, just thinking about you," that is so important. I mean, not just for the jobs that the four of us do. I mean, you know, Doc's seen probably a lot more stuff than I've ever seen. Steve's probably seen a lot more stuff than I've ever seen. DA and I have seen stuff that maybe these two, you never know what somebody has been through or what they're going through. And
you guys have done all the hero shit. I just drink and I know things. That's my role.
My point is, it doesn't. We've all seen stuff. It doesn't matter. It's not like you said. It's not a. I've done this. You hadn't. It's the fact that we've all experienced stuff, and we are that support system for each other. That means a lot. And if you know first responder, even if you've never been through it, like DA always says, if you know a first responder, just that, hey, just want to check on you. I mean, I can't tell you how many times these three have known that I was having a bad day, and I got those, the messages, whether it's in text or our co-host chat or whatever it may be. Hey, just want to make sure you doing good, you okay? Having that support system is so important, and it means so much to people, because it's real easy to feel like nobody cares about you in every one of the, whether it be military, medical, first responder, whatever it is. It's real easy, especially with the way news and things are nowadays. It's real easy to feel like nobody cares about you. Make sure those people know that you care, that you're thinking about them, that you care about them. Because these three have got me through some stuff that, I was like, so just take what DA has said to heart, take what Doc said to heart, and what Steve said to heart. You might save somebody's life by just saying, hey, just thinking about you, and never know it.
Right. And sometimes the people that are always smiling and laughing are the ones you need to check on the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Amen to that.
A prime example, Robin Williams. Robin Williams, one of the funniest people I ever saw. And he fought depression his whole life, and very few people knew it.
Mm-hmm.
We've all,
they make others laugh because they don't want anybody else to feel like shit.
That's right.
I think I speak for all of us here. We've all seen that folded flag handed to a family member, and in my law enforcement career, I saw that too many times. And and Robby can tell you, one of the saddest things you will ever hear in your life is that last call on the radio. It's rough to hear. That final call, that is a tough one to hear, and it's why the old crusty veterans with the veteran hat on still wipe a tear from their eye when they hear taps. Check on your people. Check on the first responders and the soldiers and all your veterans, current and active, and anybody that's served in any capacity. Just let them know you're thinking about them. Let them know how special they are to you. And like Robby said, you never know, you might be the one that pulls them back from that ledge.
Sure.
And in a very real sense, Steve did pull somebody back from that ledge, and thank God for you, brother.
Well,
Yep.
That's the one amazing thing about working in a level 1 trauma center. You can be a little piece of the machine that saves some lives, and that's pretty awesome.
Hell yeah.
But,
Well, boys, I'm going to continue the tradition of quoting one of my favorite songs as we wrap this up tonight. The song is called "The Parting Glass." It's an old Irish song. It is a very old song. And if you listen to the song and read the lyrics, you'll know it's talking more. It's more than just someone raising a glass at the end of the night at the bar. It's more about saying goodbye to a lot of things. And so here's to the parting glass, and the quote that I like: "But since it fell unto my lot that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night, and joy be to you all. Good night."
Night, everybody.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on DAX Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.